I
you did
kind of
that?
eventually fell into guitar and stuck with guitar and was kind of teaching myself at that point. And then I went out to a boarding school in California, an art school for high school. And that's where I really got like a lot of formal training. I majored in classical guitar. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to read music. Like I was started way, way behind, but I think I had like a little bit of like natural ability, that which
Uh-huh.
kind of saved me a bit.
Amazing. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. My name's Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music. And we'll talk about the new album and a couple of songs that you've put out thus far.
Right on. Right on. I'm just gonna put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Good idea. Let
Don't
me double check
don't don't
mine.
don't talk to me. Right on.
Sweet. I really love the new music you've been putting out. That new one's
Oh,
great.
thank you so much, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I have a 7-year-old son, so when I was listening to it, I was like, "Wow, this is a great song."
7 years old?
Yeah, 7 years old.
Wow. I can't imagine.
It's something for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I guess first off, you were tell me you were born where in Connecticut, but you ended up moving to South
Yeah.
Carolina? Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Connecticut, but I moved when I was like 2 or 3 down to
Okay.
South Carolina. Yeah, so I don't really remember too much of it. Um, but then my wife is from Connecticut, so I found myself back there a lot, ever since we've met.
Uh-huh.
So it's been kind of cool to like, yeah, visit like my dad and mom's like first house or
Oh, wow.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I grew up in South Carolina, small town, island, Hilton Head Island, very beautiful, very, very touristy, lots of golf and tennis and beach life and those types of things.
Yeah, I actually have been to Hilton Head,
Oh, okay.
a handful of times. I'm originally from San Diego, live in
Okay.
Nashville now, but, my dad's side of the family is all from Cleveland, Ohio, so, like, we would
Okay.
go to Hilton Head as, like, kind of like
Yeah,
a family reunion-ish
crazy.
type
Yeah,
thing.
there was it like the connection between Hilton Head and like people from Ohio was crazy. Like in
Yeah,
the summer, it was like, where are you from? Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. Like, there was some weird, like, the Ohio folks knew about the secret of
y
Hilton Head or something.
yeah, the one thing I'll never forget about Hilton Head was being from San Diego and, like, the Pacific Ocean was always freezing. I mean, it would be
Yeah,
in the summertime, it'd still be, like, 60 something,
yeah,
and I remember going to Hilton Head for the first time, and there wasn't any waves, it was just kinda, like, flat, but the water was, like,
yeah.
75, 80 degrees. I was like,
Yeah,
"This
it's
is
like bath water.
unreal."
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
I was
bath.
like,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
uh
crazy.
that was my big I mean, I thought it was a cool town too. I was really young when I'd go there, but that was the one thing, like, always sticks out to me about Hilton Head. I was like, "Dude, the water was really warm there."
It's so warm. It's so warm. I prefer like, San Diego water because when it's that hot out, in Hilton Head in the summer, it was like, 100% humidity, just like just so bloody hot. And you just want to cool off. So you like run out to the ocean and the ocean's like a
Just as
jacuzzi,
hot.
you're like, oh man. Whereas, if you're in San Diego, I love, just
Get in and
just jumping.
freeze.
It's just beautiful. It just wakes you up. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in LA now? Or
No, I live in
okay.
Colorado now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we've
cool.
been out here for about 6 or 7 years.
Wow, that's
Uh,
awesome.
and it definitely feels like home.
That's
Yeah, we
good,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
You come from a, fairly I mean, pretty musical household, right? Dad was a
yeah.
drummer and,
Dad's a
even
drummer.
your parent or your mom and sister would are on, like, your last record, right? Or a
Yeah,
recent
that
record?
was more of a thing for, for fun. They were when we were recording that tune, I recorded the record in Durham with Brad Cook and they drove up from Hilton Head, to come hang out, for a day and that was the song we were recording and we kind of needed some like background voices and I was like, guys, "Do you guys wanna be on the record?" And they're all
That's
like,
awesome.
"What?" And it actually turned out to be really great, and it was a really, like, special day to have my mom, my wife, and my sister all,
Oh, wow, all of them were
singing
on it.
background. Yeah, it
That's
was really
cool.
sweet. Yeah.
That's so cool. So, did your sister ever pursue music, or was it just something that she knew how to sing as well? And what about mom?
No,
Was
it's
she a
just
singer?
more just no, they're
Uh,
just for fun, yeah. But
okay.
my dad was the real musician in the house.
And did he do it professionally? Like, is that what
He
he
did he did, not, like, solely professionally, but he has played many professional gigs, like, with his local band
Oh, cool.
and stuff like that, but not like that was never his, like, full-time profession. It was
Gotcha.
more of, his, love, and
Yeah.
and he'd do it when he could. But he plays, like even now, like, he plays the drums in church.
Wow.
He plays out with all of his like local guys, he'll be so great. He'll text me and be like, "Hey, Trev, got a gig tonight, you know." I'm like, "Right on, dad." Uh, so it's really sweet to have that connection.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's probably so proud of you. I mean, from
Yeah,
obviously what
they're
you've
both
accomplished
yeah,
is insane.
yeah,
So
they're all very proud. It's very
that's so
sweet.
cool. Did you ever go see your dad play when you were young?
Yeah, yeah, oh, all the time, yeah. And he'd bring me to concerts, local concerts all the time, like, brought me to, like, my first, like, Jack Johnson concert. I was, like, in 7th grade or 8th
Oh,
grade,
rad.
and, brought me to Blues Traveler. God, we saw a lot of good shows. Ben Harper, yeah, a bunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that how you kinda got into music, was through your dad, or
100%,
okay.
yeah. My dad, we had, like, a piano in the house, and my dad always had his drum set up, in the house, and, um, had a few different instruments, and was always, like, spinning records and, had music playing, and he was just such a music man.
That's cool.
Um, and yeah, so it was just always around, and I don't know, I just went for it. Um,
Did you take lessons in, like, piano, or was drums, like, your first instrument?
Drums was
Where'd you
definitely, like, what I was banging on at first, because, naturally, my dad being a drummer, he'd, like, put me on his lap and, like, bang away in my
uh
diaper, which is crazy because that's what I'm doing with my son now, which is, like,
Oh, wow,
it's
putting them on
just
drums?
well, yeah, or just, having him on your lap and having him bang away or,
That's awesome.
grab the keyboard. It's just wild to think about. Um but, yeah, um, sorry, I lost my train of
No, no, no,
thought.
s
My
yeah, so
dad
drums are
Oh, the
your
j
dad
yeah,
would
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so drums, and then did you take piano lessons? I know
I
you
did, I
got
took piano lessons a little bit, but, like, not really, I was kinda like I kinda just was bouncing around as a kid because I was just, like, exploring, like, all these, things, and I did take guitar lessons from, like, our local music shop, um from my first guitar teacher, and he would, kind of write out tablature of like my favorite songs, at the time, and was a real like big influence. That thank God for that family on the island, the Daly family, because they were very they were like pioneers of music and arts. They had a family band, a local
wow.
bluegrass band, and they had their own band between the brothers called the Daily Planet, which was really cool.
That's the Bailey
And
Planet.
yeah, because their last names were Daly,
Yeah,
Jevin Daly and Gavin
that's
Daly.
funny.
Yeah, so that's who I kind of learned from growing up on the island.
Mhm,
And thank God, like I said, they were there because if not, like there wasn't really a lot of access to the arts and stuff like that.
mhm.
Um,
You ended up I from guitar, did you moved to California,
I
right? Like,
did, yeah, so
how old are you when
I
you did
kinda
that?
eventually fell into guitar and stuck with guitar and was kinda teaching myself at that point, and, and then I went out to a boarding school in California, an art school for high school, and that's where I really got, like, a lot of formal training. I majored in classical guitar, You know, I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to read music. Like I was started way, way behind, but I think I had like a little bit of like natural ability, you know, that which
Uh-huh.
kind of saved me a bit. But I did start from the bottom, you know.
How
There
did
was
you
there was kids in that school that were just, you know, like child prodigies that
Oh,
were,
sure.
yeah, as you know, as an international school, so kids from all over the world, and you know, these kids that were playing piano since they were like, you know, 8
2.
months old, and you know, yeah, you know, you're just like, whoa. But it was some of the best years of my life. I learned so much and had the most incredible teacher, Michael Kadurka. Um, and just it was just amazing. It was very inspiring, and learned a lot during that time.
What took you out to this school? Like, how did you hear about the school or ho I mean, to leave,
Well, at that
you
time, there
know,
wasn't
all the way
many.
across the whole coast, right,
Yeah,
at a young
yeah,
age to live out
yeah,
there?
well, I was already out in California a little bit because I was really into surfing. That was, like, what I wanted to do. I didn't really think that I was, like, gonna, like, be a musician or anything. I was, like,
Oh.
so into surfing and surf culture, and um wanted to make like surf movies like Jack, and you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and like put my music in them. Like that was kind of like my vibe. So I was already out in California surfing, and I was working at the surf camp, and whatever, things just started evolving more with the music, you know. They just started, like, I had my own little CD that I would like give to friends,
Oh, wow,
and
you
I
were already, like, writing songs at that point?
yeah, yeah, I was writing songs, and like I yeah, just I played like my first little show in LA that my dad's friends set up, like, and it just was starting to happen naturally. So I was like, oh shoot, I think I gotta like you know, gonna run with this for a second. And the surfing kind of got put on the back burner. And so when we decided to, you know, look for a school, an art school, you know, at that time, I don't know what it is now, but at that time there was only three boarding art schools, you know, high schools. There
Mhm.
was Idlewild where I went, you know, in near LA, near Palm Springs. Um, there's Interlochen, which was in Michigan, and then I think it was like Walnut Hill, which was in Massachusetts and Boston. And
Okay.
so I just, even though it was far, I chose to go to California because I had already kind of like set up a little community there. I was getting some momentum, I think, you know, and it just seemed like the best thing to do. And also we visited the school, and it was like magical. I was like, oh my God, I want to go to school here.
Okay.
It was like up in the forest, and like, you know, I was in South Carolina. I was in like a prep school, which was like uniform and khakis and polo shirts, and I just wanted to kill myself, you know. And then all of a sudden all of a sudden I like up at this school, like in the middle of the woods, and these kids have like purple hair and like going to class in like their pajamas, and you know, expressing themselves however they wanted to express themselves, you know. It was the complete opposite of what I was, you know, feeling in South Carolina, where it was like, hey, don't express yourself, fall in line, you know, type
Uh-huh.
of thing.
Sure.
Um, and so my heart and my whole being just like exploded when I was there. And it was just magical. It was so, so magical.
Did you go, like, freshman year on? So you were, like,
I
13,
went
14.
sophomore year on pretty much.
So at what age were you, like, writing your own music? And were you, like, singing? It was, like, a singer-songwriter thing that you were doing?
Yeah, singer-songwriter thing, yeah, yeah. And um I had just recorded one CD that my dad, for my 16th birthday, he like surprised me and like took me to his friend's studio in South Carolina, and I
Okay.
recorded my songs. I had like 10, 12 songs or something of my own, you know, and I just recorded them, like had no idea what I was doing, you know. Um, but you know, just had it, and then printed, like burned. In those days we like burned 500
Oh, yeah.
CDs, you know,
Sure.
like and just passed them out to friends and stuff. That was it, you know.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I was, yeah, writing my own stuff at that point. And while I was at school those years, I my dad's like best friend who lived in LA introduced me to like my first like manager, and they kind of like co-managed me um for kind of the first, yeah, like 5 years of my career,
Mhm.
so when I wasn't at school, like up where on the weekends, I would come down to LA almost like every weekend and like play shows and like just get comfortable like being out, play whatever, like play like parties or play like anything, events, I was just like they were just trying to get me, comfortable, I guess, like performing and
Mhm.
playing my own songs. So I really kind of was thrown into it like really right away.
And you ended up getting, like, signed to a major label and stuff, while you're still in
I
high school,
so
right?
yeah, so as that was happening, momentum was kind of like building, and I my senior year, I was like every weekend I was flying, you know, I would do be at school and then on the weekend I'd fly from like LA to New York and I'd go to like, the whatever Columbia building and I'd meet with like the president of Columbia. And I'm like, like I'm like 17 years old, dude.
That's
I have
so
like
wild.
no idea what's going on. And I was in like a lot of like weird situations, when I look back on it, at the time I was like, I didn't know what was, I was just like, this is cool, like all these guys like think I got something or whatever,
Mhm.
um, and I was just kind of wanted to go back to like school so I could like be with my girlfriend or like, hang
Yeah.
out with my friend, so it was just a weird place to be, and eventually after some time, um, it got down to Columbia and Geffen. We were kind of like in this like bidding war between Columbia and Geffen, and like Columbia would come with this and then Geffen would come with this, going back and forth. And we decided at the end, like, I think we want to go with Geffen. We were very connected, like with the guys that were they and our guys that were signing us. They were very good people.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I signed like my deal like my senior year of high school and like graduated high school and like moved to LA in my own like apartment and um it was like it wasn't as like the dream that everybody, like, oh, you hit it big time, you signed a
Right.
deal, it was a very kind of sad time for me because I had graduated high school, all my friends are gone, because it's a boarding school. Like I kind of pulled out of this community,
Mhm.
thrown into LA, which is just this monster, especially when you're like 18 years old,
Oh, yeah, for
right? You've
sure.
never really lived on your own. All of a sudden you have this like apartment and you gotta like cook for yourself
Yeah,
and
like, be a
clean for yourself,
yeah,
be an
grow up
adult,
real quick, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and I had no friends. I knew nobody in LA. The only people I was hanging out with were like my manager and his friends, which wasn't like healthy, all the time. You need to hang around kids and people your age, young
Sure.
people. So it was just and everybody was, I was recording my first record. All the Geffen was super, excited about it. And but you had a lot of people telling you how to be or how things should sound, and you're still a young person just trying to figure out who you are. Um, it was a lot. It was a
Yeah.
lot.
I can't imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're kinda telling you, "Oh, this is what you should sound like." I imagine it's a lot of that, like, they know
Yeah.
best, and you're probably like, "Oh, well, I don't know if this is really me."
Yeah, for sure. And being somebody that is very like gullible, I think, like and just kind of, I don't know, just yeah, I am a gullible person. I just would listen, take in every opinion, and
Mhm.
and then I think I eventually, you just kind of lose yourself. You haven't even found yourself yet. You're like, I was still so young, so it was a pretty crazy time. It was a pretty crazy time.
Mhm.
But I did learn so much and I learned it very early on. I think that really helped me in my years like ahead as an artist.
Yeah, and then you ended up what? You went independent pretty soon after that, or you put a few records up prior to that?
No, I didn't go independent right away. I recorded a record for
Uh-huh.
Geffen, and then there was like a change in personnel at Geffen. Like that
Oh yeah.
president left, and then a new president came in. Ron Fair came in, right? And they like they like dropped so many people on their roster, and it was just like we were in this holding pattern. Like we couldn't put out this record, that I had recorded, and um this new president comes in and they have to kind of learn about everybody again. So it's almost kind of like you got to prove yourself again
Mhm.
to somebody else. So that was like over the course of like a year and a half, a very frustrating time because we couldn't do anything.
I bet. Yeah, you have
And
music that you've
yeah, yeah,
recorded. You're like
100,
sitting and kind
yeah.
of waiting
Oh my
around.
God, it was just miserable. And then he came in, Ron came in as the president, and didn't drop me, but said like, "Hey, I don't like what you did. I want you to record something else. I want you to do a whole nother record." And at that time I was like, great. I just want to do something because I've just
Yeah,
been like
give me
sitting
something to do.
around. So we recorded another record with Abe Laboriel Jr. and his brother Mateo. And if you don't know who Abe is, he's like just one of the most amazing drummers. His dad was an incredible bassist, I believe. Oh God, I hope I have that right. Abe Laboriel. And they were just amazing guys, and I loved being around them. And Ron introduced me to them and said, I think you should do a record with these guys. So we did a whole new record and absolutely loved it. And seemed like Ron liked it and everything, and this was over the course of a year. And then the record was going to come out, and like a month before it was supposed to come out, they dropped me from the label and then kept that record. So
Oh, what? Yeah, that'll I've
over
heard
the
that
course of
happen, and
like
you're just
3 years, right? I recorded 2 albums. They both got shelved.
and
I
you can't
couldn't
take the songs, right?
couldn't
It's
touch
just
them. No,
that's
couldn't
just
touch
they
them.
take them and
Nothing.
that's it.
Yeah, so it was just such a wild period. Um, and then when I got dropped, it was actually kind of a celebration because it was this kind of freedom of like, okay, now we can do whatever we want. We got to pay for it ourselves, or we got to, at least we're free.
Right.
Um, and that's when I recorded it was like a acoustic album with my friend Chris Steele, who was this percussionist that I'd played with for like years, with like my brother. We recorded a record called This Is Blue,
Mm.
just at a studio in the valley. um Great studio. And printed it ourselves, and put it out. So that's when things kind of finally started to start rolling with music and getting it out there. So it was a long process, a very up and down and sideways, and crazy process. It's like being a young kid from South Carolina. You hear all like the horror stories of like the record industry, and you're like, that cannot be true. That's
Right.
and then it happens to you, and you're like, whoa. That's just ay.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just a crazy world, crazy industry.
And with your self-titled record, you went back to a label though, right?
I
With
did.
yeah,
So
with
I
Van
I
were you kinda skeptical about that or
oh
no?
yeah, I was like, I'm never going to any label ever again. I was just, and I put out this acoustic album, This Is Blue.
Mhm.
And this label approached us, Vanguard Records. um and they were completely different vibe than Geffen. They were more of an indie label. um Very, there was like 10 people that worked at the label. Um and all of them just great human beings. um and I was very resistant for a while, and then my manager just said, look, let's just go talk to him. You don't have to do anything, let's just go talk to him. And keep in mind that I had already talked to like almost every major label there was at that time.
Mhm.
Hollywood Records, Atlantic, Jive Records, you know I mean, everything, Maverick, Columbia, Geffen, Sony. It was, so I kind of thought like, oh well, I've seen it all, and I, I was
Right.
this young kid. I'm like, I've seen it all,
You
and
kind of had at that point.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, in a way, I
to go
did.
in that young and then
Yeah.
already kind of have the whole
Oh
experience
my
and
God, I know. So
live many lives very
I
short.
came in a bit jaded, but I was pleasantly surprised. It was a very like kind of family atmosphere, and it was people that were like genuinely excited about music and genuinely excited about like building an artist like over time, and not it being just this like, let's just get a hit and one hit wonder or whatever, do whatever it takes, to. And I was just, I was impressed with them, and signed a deal with them for 4 records, and most of my catalog,
Mhm.
had came out with them. I released 4 records with them and a live record, I believe. And they were just amazing to build my help, get my career off the ground. And that's when I feel like my career like really started.
Mhm.
Um,
And
like
did you was it like what you sign and then you put
yeah,
4 albums out obviously with them, and did
yeah.
you was it kind of like you're seeing yourself kind of grow as an artist as far as like replaying bigger shows, and like was that
I
kind of
was just,
was there like
I
a
was at that
milestones in
at
there
that
that you
time I was just opening for anybody and everybody.
okay,
We opened for, the Wailers, and um a
that's
lot of
awesome.
like reggae, Jimmy Cliff, and some of my like heroes, because reggae music was really like one of the foundational like pieces for me growing up. I was really into reggae. So Steel Pulse, and all these folks. And then I was opening for like Stevie Nicks,
Oh,
and
wow. Yeah.
and like Kobe Calais, and like you know all these like more just completely different from the reggae scene. And then
Yeah.
I was like, God, there's so many folks. And then Matis Yahoo, and um yeah, God, Michael Franti, and so it was just like I was just playing with anybody and everybody because I just wanted to get out there. I was
Uh-huh.
and we finally had something to tour with. We had a record, we could sell it at shows, and it was uh it was a very like tiresome time, but it was when we were really putting in the work. We were in that van, MapQuest papers everywhere, rental
Oh, sure.
cars, Motel 6, like staying with friends of friends of friends on their basement floor. Like it was just like it was the grind. it
Mhm.
was it was amazing. you know um so yeah, that was when those were like really like the formative years of when I was on Vanguard, and just really trying to get it going,
Uh-huh. And
yeah.
then with the Fruitful Darkness, that's when you went back independent, but you did it like kind of like
Yeah.
crowdsource, right? I mean, with Kickstarter
Yeah,
and
so I
you have
did
like the
those 4
first
records, and then it was like, we completed the deal, and it was kind of like, do we want to kind of like try to do another one, or should we go independent? And at that time the whole music industry had changed so much. It was so much easier to be an independent artist, than when I
mhm.
when I first started out. It was like almost impossible, you know. Um, and we made the decision, yeah, to give it a go. Um, and yeah, did this crazy experiment and crowdfunded the record, and it was like it was just insane. It was I don't know if I'd do it again. I don't know if I'd do it again,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
because we got like way more money than I like ever expected. And it
Uh-huh.
kind of got to a point where I was like, I feel a little weird about having this much for this project. And I almost felt like maybe a little pressure from you know, because everybody's like put their money
Put
into
money
this,
into
you
it,
know. It
sure.
was, so I had this like kind of nervousness of like, I hope this is good, and like we got to really make this like, there was a little more like pressure with that. But
Oh,
but
yeah.
I would, you know, at the same time, I was so grateful I wouldn't have been able to do it without everybody's help. I just didn't know they were going to help that much, you know.
Right, and then
So,
having, like you said, these are your fans putting money
yeah,
into it, so it's like,
yeah,
hopefully I can deliver what, they
yeah.
like or
Hopefully,
they
yeah.
want,
Hopefully,
right?
it's cool, you know. Yeah, yeah.
I
Because
can
I was
see.
starting at that point. I was starting to kind of, I feel like, take a step in another direction, like
Uh-huh.
creatively. So I also wasn't sure, like, oh, I hope I don't know, you know,
Yeah, are they gonna
this is where
dig
I'm at
this?
right
Right,
now, you
right,
know, and
right.
even though they got their money in this and like are supporting this, I still have to like take this step. And it was ended up being beautiful and
Nah,
great.
huge
But
record, right.
yeah, yeah, but it was just like super. Yeah, I don't think I'd do it again.
And then with the record you put out in 2020, was that something you had recorded, like, during the pandemic? Or, like, where were you
Mhm.
at when that all happened, and how
Well,
did
that
that
was
affect that
right before
album?
the pandemic.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you put it out before the pandemic?
Well, no, we recorded it, like,
Oh,
right before
recorded
the
before. I
pandemic.
was gonna say, I thought you
Yeah,
put it in released it toward the
yeah,
end of the
and,
year.
I was very influenced by, um, Bon Iver at that time,
Mhm,
was, like, really getting into, um, artists that were, like, just trying to, like, stretch the stretch out, you know, creatively, and continue to push and take things, like, just out there, you know.
mhm,
And I reached out to Brad Cook, um, who was part of the Bon Iver camp and also the Big Red Machine camp, and um, but has produced like so many of my favorite artists and favorite records. And he, you know, picked up my call, which was awesome. And I said, you know, I'd love to like work with you if you're open to it. And he was like, sure, come out to Durham. That's where he's at in
mhm.
North Carolina. And went out there just to kind of see if we like, you know, vibed off each other. And like the first day, like, because at that point I had recorded a lot of songs, like demos, you know, on my own, but I wanted to see if I could. I knew I could take them further, and I needed help, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and when I met Brad, it was just like, oh God, you know, he was just this just huge spirit of creativity and joy of the process, you know,
Mhm.
and just so inspiring. And I was learning so much so fast. And we like hit it off right away. And after the first day, I was like, can please do my record, you know?
Mhm.
So I went back out there, did the record. It was just an incredible experience. Um, and while we were doing the record, you know, we were hearing like about this thing called COVID, you know, and it was kind of like, you know, but you're in when you're in like the recording process, you're so consumed in that process, like you shut out the external world. You
Right.
know, at least I do. Like you're just so consumed. It just consumes your world. You know, you wake up and you're just recording all day, and then you go to sleep, and you wake up and you know, and you don't have a lot of space for anything else. So once in a while, it's like you hear like, oh, it's this COVID. Oh my God,
Yeah.
there's like one case in the United States. Oh shit, that's crazy.
Eh,
But you're like, oh, they'll figure it out,
I
you know.
remember that,
You
like,
know, you're
living
kind
in
of
the
just,
United States, we're like, "Yeah, that's someone else's
yeah,
problem,"
yeah.
usually, right?
They're like, oh, they'll get it,
Right,
you
yeah,
know.
exactly. They'll
And
it'll die off before it makes it here.
and then it was like, oh yeah, we heard there's like one in North Carolina where we were, you know, like
You're like,
whatever.
"Oh, shit."
So I like finished the record. I was there for like a month, you know, we did the whole record. And I go to the airport to like fly back home here to Colorado, and I get to the airport and there's like everybody is wearing masks, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know, I was really out of it.
Yeah.
And I get on the plane and I was like hearing, then it was like I was, oh shit, I'm hearing about this everywhere right now, because
It's
I
like
kind of
elbow
came,
high fives and
yeah, I
shit.
like kind of, yeah, I kind of came back to the world and was like, what the fuck. And I got home and it was like 5 days later, the world shut down. It
Shuts
was like
down.
complete quarantine. So I like just made it home.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and it was just like wild because we just recorded this like, amazing thing, and I wanted to share it. Now it's like, oh God, now what do we do?
Yeah.
And there
Did you
was,
just hold on to it? I mean, like,
well, no, we didn't. I mean, we kind of just like moved forward, because we couldn't tour,
right.
and everything kind of went online and we had to make it work. And so we just, and also it was like, oh, everything's gonna be okay by like May,
It was like
you
2
know.
weeks in the
And
beginning,
then it's
right?
like, yeah, then it's like, oh no, no, it got pushed to like July. July, everything will be fine. And
Right.
then and then it kind of came in like, no, no, this is a thing. We're gonna
It's
be
gonna
in
be a
this for a
minute,
while.
right? Yeah.
So we just went ahead with it, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad we put it out there because it kept me engaged, and it kept, kind of the flame burning a bit, because like I said, we weren't touring.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Wow. And you have the new albums coming out in September
Yeah. So now we're here. Now we're
with Trevor
present
Hall and the
day.
great in between.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the song we were talking about in the beginning, Hello My Son was, so are you like, I mean, I don't know if you feel comfortable answering this, like how old is your kid? And like was this like kind of a new venture, and is that kind of gonna be a part of this new journey in the new album?
Yeah, undeniably, I think like becoming a parent, like like having a new life come into your life, your old life kind of dies.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're whether you're ready or not, you're pushed into this new presence that you have to be in, you know. And so undeniably it's going to make its way out into everything you do in your life, because
Yeah.
everything's different now. So um yeah, I mean, the whole record explores that, I think, kind of place of being dead to old ways, not in a morbid or bad way,
Right.
just like those things are dead now, and there's a lot of new things that are that have flowered, but also are still flowering, and you're in this great in between place,
Mhm.
of you know being in that middle way. um but what is that place in every area of your life? What does that mean? And spiritually, what does that mean as a musician, or um just exploring that question,
Mhm.
because I think as as human beings we're always so uncomfortable in the in between. It's kind of like we need to know the answer. We're either hot or we're cold. We're either happy or we're sad. We kind of view that middle space as like not a place to be, I think. But I
Yeah.
think that in between space is actually might be where we're supposed to not supposed to be, but might be more a healthier place to be overall, um, in order for us to be open to everything, and um, also to maintain a equilibrium in a way.
Right.
Um, so all of that, you know, like to be in between creatively. I'm kind of getting out here, but I'm just gonna keep going.
No, I
Like,
love it.
creatively, it's like I'm in between in the sense of, I feel like a lot of my old artistry, you know, um, or my old way of doing things, my old approach to like my creativity has changed drastically in the past couple years. And so that way has kind of died. And stretching into this other um other this new process for me, just new
Mhm.
process of creating, so being in that place of the in between, it's not like I like disregard everything I've done in the past as an artist. That
Sure.
stuff is always with me, that stuff is always a part of me, you know and it's not that I'm just going to fully accept this new way of the future and make that my new identity. It's not that either. That's also a part of me now too. And if
Uh-huh.
I can stay in the in between, if I can stay in this present moment, which holds everything, um, that is the best uh, kind of position, I think, to have the healthiest outcome
Mhm.
for my creative energy. So it's just, I'm talking it out with you now. It's just I'm just figuring it out as we go, um, what that place means and how I can incorporate that that place into every aspect of my life.
Yeah, well, hence the name of the record, right? I mean, The
Yeah.
Great In Between. You're
Yeah.
kind of in that space of,
Yep.
like, old me and then now, parent,
Yeah.
dad, all that stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, I can still remember the most terrifying one of the most terrifying days of my life was, like, driving home from the hospital, like, with my son in, like, a car seat. You're like,
Bro.
"Welp, there's no help." You know
I
what I
know,
mean? You're
man.
just like and I
That
remember just driving
moment's
slow, like, I hope I don't get in a
oh
crash,
my
like,
God. Yeah,
it
that
was, like,
moment,
so
man.
gnarly.
So gnarly. So gnarly. It's the craziest moment. The craziest moment, you know.
And you just figure it
Craziest
out,
moment.
right? I mean, you
You
get
just
home
figure
and
it out. It's
you just
just
get
that you are just, yeah, just pushed into
thrown in
that
the deep
moment.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So wild. So
Um,
wild.
when you wrote "Hello, My Son," was that like a song that kind of just came out like naturally, or did you
Yeah, it
think too
really
much about it? I mean,
no, no, it really came out naturally. That song is about the present moment. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, like with becoming a parent, um, is fully just trying to be in the present moment and connected in the present moment. My presence is the best thing I can offer my son, um, and everybody around me, and so that became just a strong theme. And the first lines, I'm in the here and now, you know and I don't even know how.
Mhm.
It's like, you know we can do all these like practices like meditation or yoga or um whatever it is to bring us in the present moment. But for me, it was like nothing nothing brought me in there harder than,
Yeah, yeah,
having a baby boy.
sure.
So it was just kind of like, whoa. And um, are these the golden years? It was just like, it's just like realizing like, oh my God, this time with like a fresh life. Um, it was like summer, in Colorado, and like sitting in the grass, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I can't believe that this is my life now.
Mhm.
It was just a celebration. I'm in a brand new love. Hello to you, my son. It's just like a celebration of like, you know, welcome, hi, whoa, this is just wild.
Yeah.
um so yeah, it's a really fun song, and I'm glad that it was a single. It seems like a lot of folks have connected with it.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant song, and when I was listening to it, I was like, "Wow!" Like, I just connected to it instantly. I was like, "Well, I can like fully relate to all of this." I can still
Yeah,
remember like driving home from the hospital, like all those things,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
just tripping. I like, oh my gosh, like this is so wild, but like
yeah,
it's the best thing ever. And
yeah,
it's hard to explain to people that you know I don't know, it's weird,
yeah, yeah,
but
for sure.
is it gonna be? I mean, you're doing a big tour coming up. I love you're playing
Yeah,
Humphreys. What a cool spot in San
love
Diego,
that
right on the
place.
water. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
love that. I've only played that place one time, and it was like so many years ago, over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago.
Wow.
And I opened for, I think it was like Susan Tedeschi, I think.
Okay.
And
That's
it was like, it was like I I didn't realize like how nice it was until like after the fact. I was like, whoa, that because I was so enthralled with like seeing her.
Oh, yeah, I
Um,
bet. You're kind of, like,
and I was
overwhelmed,
just
I'm sure.
opening, but now I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, I get to go back and play that place like myself. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and you're
So
on the stage, you can look over and just see the boats. Like, it's a
yeah,
cool spot. It's
yeah,
definitely one of the
very
cooler
cool
venues in
spot.
San Diego.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool spot.
But yeah, are you gonna be able to take your family on the tour? Or
This
it
one,
or
he's done the last 2 tours with us. It's been amazing. We had everybody, wife, baby, dog, the whole gang,
that's cool. Yeah, yeah.
Um, but this one, they're not coming because my wife is releasing her debut book of poetry in a couple weeks, on June
Oh,
21st.
wow.
So she's like just very, very busy at the moment. And when she's on the road, it's hard because I'm obviously
On the road
busy
too,
and she's
yeah.
watching our son. So here, it's better because she has help and she needs to give her all to her project. So
100%.
they're not coming on this one, but I am kind of, flying back a lot on my days off to be with the kiddos. So making it work.
That's cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time today, Trevor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, like I said, I love what you're doing. I can't wait to hear the full album. And I just have one more quick question for you before I let you go.
Of
I want to
course.
know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Advice for aspiring artists. That's like a heavy question right at the end. I thought you were gonna
Sorry.
be like,
What's your favorite
what's
color?
your favorite color?
Sorry, I guess maybe well,
um,
some people have a quick answer, but you
yeah.
take your time. I mean, I just
No, no, no. I mean, it's just it's so cliche, but you really just have to um you really have to stay true to your artistry and your person, um as much as possible. And you are going to deviate, you are going to get influenced and you are going to like make mistakes and things are going to fall apart, but that in that falling apart is when you really like learn the most, and as long as you just stay true to yourself and your own craft, I mean, you just have to let everything else do what it will, try not to get too sucked into that stuff. That stuff will come, if you're, giving your all to that creative energy and being as true to that creative energy as you can. Um, because so many people are going to tell you what to do. So many people are going to tell you what they think. So many people, and none of it's right and none of it's wrong, you know. So you really have to, just be strong in yourself um, and believe in yourself, really, you know, and
love
just
it.
do it, Like if you're a musician, just play all to whomever and wherever, um, play in your living room, play at a big stage, play at a coffee shop, play at an open mic, play for your friend. Just keep doing it, because through that experience is how you really like learn to be comfortable in yourself no matter what environment you're in, you know. That's what I think. I'm still learning that, it's like I've been doing this for like 20 years and I still feel like I'm learning how to listen to myself and my voice and be confident in myself no matter where I am or who I'm with. It's not an overnight thing. So you got to be patient with yourself and love yourself and give compassion to yourself as well,
Bringing it backward.